The gates have not opened in years. Rust grips the iron bars like a stubborn memory, flaking slowly under the pressure of time. Beyond them, a long winding driveway disappears into overgrowth. Trees lean inward, their branches forming a quiet archway, as if guarding what lies at the end. And there it stands. A mansion once valued at $20 million. Even now, through layers of neglect, its presence is undeniable. Massive stone columns frame the entrance. Arched windows reflect the fading daylight. The architecture is deliberate, symmetrical, commanding, designed not merely to shelter but to impress. This was never meant to be just a house. It was meant to be a statement. Completed in the late 2000s during the peak of America's real estate expansion, the estate spans nearly 18,000 square feet. 5 private acres surround it. 6 bedrooms. 11 bathrooms. A ballroom-style grand hall. An indoor pool. A private theater. Imported marble floors from Italy. Crystal chandeliers shipped from Europe. Hand-carved ceiling moldings that required months of detailed craftsmanship. Everything about this home speaks of confidence. Of scale. Of permanence. Of ambition at full speed. But the front doors tell a different story. They open with resistance. The hinges groan softly, as though disturbed from a long sleep. Inside, the air is cool and stale. Dust floats visibly in narrow beams of sunlight breaking through tall windows. The foyer stretches 2 stories high. A sweeping staircase curves upward in elegant symmetry. Above it hangs a chandelier that once illuminated polished marble floors in golden light. Now, it hangs silently. Footsteps echo sharply against stone. In an empty house, even small sounds feel amplified. The silence here is not peaceful, it is heavy. To the right, the formal living room remains carefully arranged. Plush sofas face one another across an ornate coffee table. Framed mirrors line the walls. Near the windows sits a grand piano. Its surface is coated in a thin layer of gray dust. When one key is pressed, the note vibrates unevenly, slightly out of tune. It lingers in the room longer than expected, as if the house itself is listening. Nothing appears vandalized. There are no signs of chaos. No shattered glass. No furniture overturned. It does not look abandoned in panic. It looks abandoned in pause. The kitchen continues that pattern. Custom mahogany cabinets stand tall, their finish slightly dulled by humidity. Marble countertops remain pristine, cold and untouched. Stainless steel appliances reflect a room that no longer functions. Everything was installed for a future that never unfolded. Downstairs, the wine cellar remains intact. Bottles line the walls in careful rows. Some labels are faded. Others remain crisp and elegant. These were meant for celebration, for contracts signed, anniversaries honored, milestones reached. Instead, they age in isolation. Upstairs, the master suite stretches across its own private wing. Double doors open into a bedroom anchored by a carved stone fireplace. The scale is overwhelming, high ceilings, private balcony access, space designed for luxury living. But the mattress is gone. The bed frame stands alone beneath tall windows. Curtains shift slightly in the breeze from balcony doors left just slightly ajar. The walk-in closet is larger than most city apartments. Empty shelves line the walls. A few wooden hangers remain, gently swaying when disturbed. There is something unsettling about emptiness in a space built for abundance. Further down the hallway, smaller bedrooms reveal quieter details. In one room, a child-sized desk sits against the wall. A drawer contains scattered crayons. On the wall hangs a calendar. September 2009. It was never turned. The timing is impossible to ignore. The mansion was completed at the very moment the 2008 financial crisis rippled through the country. What began as instability in financial markets quickly became a collapse in confidence. Credit tightened. Property values dropped. Developers who had expanded aggressively found themselves carrying more debt than liquidity. Ambition, once rewarded, suddenly became risk. Public property records suggest the original owner was a high-profile investor deeply involved in real estate development. During the boom years, expansion came easily. Banks approved loans. Partnerships multiplied. Growth felt unstoppable. Until it wasn't. When markets corrected, they corrected fast. Projects stalled. Capital evaporated. Assets that once symbolized success became liabilities overnight. And somewhere within that unraveling, this house was left behind. But financial difficulty alone does not explain the feeling inside these walls. The ballroom remains the most striking space in the mansion. Polished marble floors stretch wide beneath towering ceilings adorned with intricate plasterwork. Massive arched windows frame the landscape outside. This room was built for gatherings, for music, for laughter, for movement. But no event was ever held here. No housewarming celebration. No wedding reception. No holiday dinner beneath crystal light. The chandeliers hang like frozen constellations in a sky that never fully lit up. It feels less like a home that lived, and more like a home that waited. And waited too long. As afternoon light shifts into evening, shadows grow longer across the floors. The scale of the house begins to feel heavier. What once symbolized power now feels fragile. Because a house of this size requires presence. It demands energy. Without it, its grandeur turns hollow. Abandoned mansions often invite dramatic theories, hidden scandals, mysterious disappearances, secrets sealed in silence. But sometimes the truth is quieter. Sometimes it is simply timing. Confidence built this mansion. But timing may have undone it. Standing in the foyer again, looking up at the chandelier suspended above the silent staircase, one question lingers. Was this estate abandoned because the numbers no longer worked? Or because the dream that built it collapsed under its own weight? Outside, the sun dips below the trees. The windows darken. The house slowly fades into silhouette. From the road, it still looks impressive. Grand. Unshaken. But inside, the silence tells another story. A story of ambition that rose quickly. Of expansion that felt unstoppable. Of a future assumed to be secure. Until it wasn't. The gates never reopened. And the dream that stood too tall was left behind. Night settles over the estate with quiet authority. From a distance, the mansion still commands attention. Its silhouette cuts sharply against the darkening sky, columns tall, rooflines precise, windows reflecting the last traces of fading light. It still looks powerful. Still looks expensive. But power without presence is only appearance. Up close, the details begin to shift. Fine cracks run subtly along sections of the exterior stone. Paint has begun to peel near the balcony railings. One upper window is fractured, a thin spiderweb of glass catching moonlight. Time has been working patiently. Inside, the atmosphere feels heavier than it did during the day. The absence is more noticeable in the dark. The air seems thicker, as if the house itself has absorbed the years of stillness. The indoor pool room feels surreal under low light. Floor-to-ceiling windows surround an empty basin where water once reflected skylights above. Now the tiles are dry and fractured. Leaves have gathered in corners. The faint scent of damp concrete lingers in the air. This room was designed for leisure, for quiet mornings and private evenings. For sunlight dancing across water. Instead, it echoes. Every step here sounds distant. Down the hallway, the private theater remains frozen in near perfection. Leather recliners are aligned with mathematical precision. The massive projection screen still stretches across the wall, untouched. A remote control rests on the armrest of the center seat. As if someone paused a film mid-scene and simply walked away. The gym tells a similar story. High-end equipment stands exactly where it was installed. Treadmills. Weight machines. Mirrors covering an entire wall. The reflections show nothing but emptiness. Machines that once measured miles now measure years. The deeper you move into the mansion, the clearer it becomes, this was not a rushed departure. It was gradual. Controlled. Delayed. Perhaps at first, the intention was temporary. A financial setback. A pause while markets stabilized. A hope that conditions would improve. But improvement never came quickly enough. Outside, nature continues its quiet reclamation. The tennis court behind the house is fractured by determined weeds pushing through concrete. The fountain at the center of the circular driveway stands dry, its stone darkened by seasons of rainfall. The once precise landscaping has softened into wildness. Nature does not panic. It does not speculate. It simply advances. Back inside, the study feels more personal than any other room. Floor-to-ceiling wooden shelves line the walls, all empty now. A large desk faces an arched window overlooking the property. On its surface rests a single pen and a thin stack of unopened envelopes. This was likely where decisions were made. Where projections were reviewed. Where contracts were signed. Where optimism felt tangible. Perhaps this room once carried the energy of certainty, the belief that growth would continue upward, that risk was manageable, that expansion equaled security. But markets are not loyal. And confidence can shift faster than stone foundations. Luxury homes like this are often marketed as legacies. Built with imported materials meant to endure generations. Engineered with structural reinforcements designed to withstand decades of weather. But what they cannot withstand is absence. Without maintenance, even marble dulls. Without heat, wood warps. Without movement, systems fail quietly behind the walls. Real estate listings attempted revival over the years. The price was adjusted multiple times. Investors toured briefly. Developers considered renovations. The numbers, however, were daunting. Restoration costs would climb into the millions. Demolition would be controversial. And so the mansion remained suspended between options. Too valuable to ignore. Too expensive to revive. Too symbolic to destroy. As midnight approaches, the estate feels almost self-aware. Not haunted, but heavy. It carries the weight of unrealized purpose. There is something deeply human about unfinished dreams. They linger differently than failures. Failure has an ending. It closes a chapter. But incompletion feels unresolved. This mansion was never given the chance to fulfill what it was built for. It never hosted the gatherings it was designed to hold. It never became the centerpiece of family traditions or celebrations. It exists in a state of pause. And perhaps that is what makes it powerful. Because it represents more than lost wealth. It represents timing. Overconfidence. Expansion that outpaced caution. $20 million once stood behind these walls as a symbol of achievement. Today, the number feels abstract. Because the true cost of this mansion cannot be measured in square footage or imported finishes. It is measured in what never happened. The laughter that never echoed through the ballroom. The holidays never celebrated beneath crystal chandeliers. The milestones never marked within its marble halls. As the wind moves through broken branches outside, the house does not respond. It does not resist its stillness. It simply stands. A monument to a moment in history when optimism felt permanent and growth felt guaranteed. Until it wasn't. The gates remain closed. The driveway remains empty. The chandeliers remain dark. Luxury became silence. And silence became permanent. Thanks for staying to the end. Where are you watching from today? Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe to the channel for more documentary like this.